come now to our Friday feature movie spotlight, where our film critics give us their recommendations on what to watch over the weekend among the latest releases here in Korea. And let's bring in our critics now. First, we have with us Jason Bechervaise. Jason, hello. It's great to see you.
Hello, Jang. Yeah, it's great to be here.
And we also have with us Darcy Paquet as well. Darcy, hello to you too.
Hi.
Okay, so 2 local features to talk about this week, and let's start with the more high-profile release. It's a crime drama called Yadang, the Snitch, or simply Yadang in Korean. It stars Kang Ha-neul and Hae-jin, and the Yadang in the title is not Yadang from the political world, meaning opposition party, right. But as the English title suggests, it's something to do with a snitch, right? Jason, can you tell us more? This is your pick this week.
Yeah, that's right. I think some viewers or local viewers might go in with the expectation that it's a political film, although there are political characters. But it's not about the opposition party. Yadang provide information about narcotics, the world of drugs, to the police and prosecutors. And essentially as informants, and they make quite a bit of money as a result, though it is quite a dangerous thing to do, as we see in the film. Kang Ha-neul plays an energetic Yadang, and he's established this relationship with a very ambitious prosecutor played by Hae-jin, and as information is passed on to this prosecutor, he moves up, the chain of command, but ultimately for this prosecutor, he gets overly ambitious, and he gets involved with the son of a leading presidential candidate. Now, added into the mix is a narcotics officer played by Hae-jin, and who's he's really popular right now because of the Netflix drama Life Gives You Tangerines. Now he's kind of one step behind the prosecutor. You have that kind of rivalry between the police and prosecutors, which is very much evident again here. And when the Yadang played by Kang Ha-neul essentially gets played, he teams up with the detective and an actress played by Choi Won-bin, they're trying to bring down the son of a presidential candidate, and so they're seeking retribution. So that's essentially the plot of the film. It's directed by actor-director Hwang Seung-jae. It's his third feature after Wedding Campaign from 2005 and SIU 2011. But he's also known in the industry as an actor. He was in Violent Prosecutor, Veteran, and Inside Men.
Right, and talking of Inside Men, it does look similar, a film about relationships between powerful figures in Korean society, although Inside Men was more political, right?
Yeah, so that was a relationship between a prosecutor, a henchman, and a politician.
Yeah, newspaper editor.
Yeah, he's newspaper editor as well. Yeah, no, this is no Inside Men. It's certainly gritty, it's explicit, and, as I was researching about the film director, clearly, spent, a long time researching, actually, meeting these Yadang individuals, and exploring that criminal underworld. But for me, I don't know what Darcy thinks. It just came across as quite heavy-handed, very male-driven. The 2 most interesting characters in the film for me were the female characters, and they're just pushed to the sidelines. It's not boring, really, although I never thought it was particularly engrossing. Although there's a couple of really cool scenes. There's one at the beginning when kind of an opening set piece, which is really good. And I thought, oh, this is looking good. Again, featuring cars and just carnage and chaos. And then the next best scene is basically at the end of the film, and everything in between is just a little bit, just very predictable. I was watching it with, interestingly, an older crowd, and there's this one scene where I was expecting a car crash, and I almost it's like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then it happens, and then everyone around, and and then there's a reveal later on in the film, which is really obvious, and then I can hear them talking about that, and maybe I'm just not the right audience for this, but it was just.
You've seen too many Korean.
I've seen way too many. It's so predictable.
Actually, that's my theory about this film. Like, the more Korean films you've seen, the more skeptical you'll be about this film. But I think for ordinary viewers, it's more entertaining than
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they seem to
experience.
enjoy it, and there are some, like I say, a couple of fun scenes, but yeah, the predictability is ridiculous.
Right, so if you're new to Korean cinema, then maybe this works. But then, Darcy, obviously, you're not new to Korean cinema. What did you make of it?
Well, no, I guess I had more fun with it than Jason had. I didn't go in with, any particular expectations, high or low. And, it's made out of parts that are familiar from previous Korean films. And the structure of the story is also somewhat similar. So, yeah, I also kind of knew those things were coming. I was able to guess the twists and the reveals before they happened. But I do think, just in terms of the filmmaking itself, it's kind of crisply put together, and
Yeah.
the acting's good. I mean, we expect Hae-jin always to be good, and he is here as well. And Kang Ha-neul is kind of I don't know. I mean, he held the lead, I think, well enough.
Yeah, I was a bit worried about him because, he has this like infectious smile, and so I was wondering if he was just going to kind of, overkill it. But he's playing this rather, he's not a bad character, but clearly he's a bit shady. But yeah, it kind of works actually for him. I thought all the performances are great. I mean, Hae-jin, he's kind of a villain, although you do feel some empathy towards him. But yeah, the female characters, I really like them. I mean, Chae Won-bin, who is in Doubt, she attracted a lot of acclaim for the series with Han Seok-gyu that's up streaming on Netflix. I want to see a lot more of her. And Kim Gum-sun was fantastic in the movie, but she's like in a handful of scenes.
Okay.
She is just amazing. We're seeing more of her in commercial films, but still in quite small roles. But in independent films,
I think in the coming years we're going to be seeing a lot of her.
she's just great. She's
Independent filmmakers have kind of realized her potential first, I think, and now it's slowly being picked up by the mainstream industry.
Yeah, she was in Jongsun, which is an independent film that screened at Jeonju, and it won multiple awards. I think she won an award at Rome, wasn't it? Rome Film Festival. Yeah, so she's one to look out for, and she's in this movie, but just not enough.
Briefly.
Very briefly.
Interesting.
And she's in one of the great scenes of the film at the end.
Okay, so some quite interesting and promising points, but overall, if you've watched too much Korean crime dramas, then maybe, yes, it won't feel like anything new, but perhaps it's worth checking out. Once again, it's called Yadang, the Snitch, out now in cinemas. Let's move on to our second film this week, and it's a very intriguing low-budget science fiction film about AI robots. It's called Galatea in English, although in Korean it's called 귀신들, which means ghosts. It's from director Hwang Seung-jae. Darcy, this is your pick this week. Can you tell us more about it? It's set in the near future, right?
It is. I mean, this is an example of a science fiction film that's trying to imagine what the world might look like, in the near to medium future. I mean, we're never really sure exactly when this is taking place. And, he's trying to depict the future of humanity, but ironically, there are very few actual humans that appear in the film. I mean, most of the characters are self-aware AI robots who are more or less indistinguishable from real humans until you kind of spend some time with them. The film, it's actually 5 separate stories, but all of them are written by the same person, the director, Hwang Seung-jae. And he's quite prolific. I mean, he's directed 5 independent feature films in the past 5 years, even though, none of them have really attracted much attention.
Okay.
But yeah, clearly this is a topic that kind of fascinates him, and it is certainly possible to make science fiction on a low budget, even though when you say science fiction, you tend to imagine these big budget Hollywood blockbusters.
Right, space operas, but this is more of a low-key kind of imagining what the world might be in a sci-fi setting. There are 5 separate episodes, you said, in this film, so it's a sort of a portmanteau anthology film, right?
That's right. All the characters are different in each of these episodes. The first one, it's called Boys Fishing, which sounds like voice fishing, and
right, okay.
It's about an old woman who's visited by, her son, except that her son committed suicide years in the past. and he walks through the door and says, "Cook me dinner, Mom," and then starts asking her for money. And so yeah, I mean that's the first one. There's a story called Mortgage about an AI robot who was made in the likeness of a human being who passed away, but then the AI robot has to continue paying off the mortgage of the old human.
Right, okay.
And a loan company tries to convince him to take out an extra 500-year mortgage.
Right, okay.
There's noise canceling about an AI mom who comes across this AI stray child on the street. Pairings about a meeting between a man and woman who used to have some romantic history in the past. And then Update is about a terminally ill writer who's visited by an AI robot writer who intends to finish his novel after the writer dies.
Okay, so these stories all sound very compelling. They're quite compelling setups. Darcy, what did you make of them? Do they work?
I mean, it is very downbeat. As I was watching the film,
It's K dystopia.
It does really drag you down. I mean, I would say 3 out of the 5 are really downbeat, and then the other 2 are a little bit more mixed in terms of their mood. I mean, they're intriguing setups. The filmmaking doesn't really jump out at you. I don't see, this as kind of a potential breakout in any way, or and
Okay.
it's not, the situations that it's portraying are the sorts of things that we might imagine about the future. I mean, it does give you some things to think about, but I think in terms of actually putting you into the world and making you kind of feel within that, I mean, partly it's the low budget. I think there's, a limited amount that they can do given a low budget, but it was a good effort, but yeah, I don't think it's going to break out and find much of an audience.
Okay. Jason, did you catch this one?
I did, yeah. Interesting. I mean, sci-fi is a genre that Korean directors clearly, really admire and really want to explore, but it, rarely works. And here, I think there are some of the same problems. But yeah, it's very uneven. Although I do like some of the segments. I quite like Pairing, which kind of explores AI through this kind of relationship between these two, and the performances there were really, really good. And yeah, I mean, it was an intriguing concept, and AI is something that obviously we hear a lot about, and so I think. Even though the whole film didn't necessarily work, I think some of the segments, though, were actually quite good and would work as short films. It was great to see Eo-won, who I haven't seen for a long time. She's in one of my favorite Korean films, Take Care of My Cat. So, that's a film that I talk about with my students a lot. And it was just great to see her again. It's been a while since I saw her on, in a movie. So it does definitely have some interesting moments. Does it work as a movie? Well, not really, but
Okay.
but again, it's Korean. It is dystopia, and it's something we see a lot in the industry. Some on big budgets, and like Darcy said, this is an example of something that's made on a super low budget. But yeah, it's a genre that it's a bit of a kind of poison chalice, really, isn't it? They struggle to make it work, and so even though here it has its moments, ultimately, fails to connect really.
Okay, so that was Galatea, or Kishindel in Korean. It's out now. Finally, before we go, I just want to get your quick thoughts on one more piece of news. The fact that there are no Korean films announced for the Cannes Film Festival this year. This has caused some concern in the local industry. Korean cinema has, of course, a lot of history with Cannes, from Old Boy winning the Grand Prix in 2004 to Parasite winning the Palme d'Or in 2019. What are your thoughts? Are you concerned at all?
Yes and no. I think there was always going to be a year where there was no Korean films. This is the first time there's no features since I think 2013. It's surprising not to see even a Korean film in the midnight section, where they screen the genre films. But ultimately, the Korean film industry is so it's reliant on its auteurs, and so if they don't have a film ready, And that's the case. I mean, now Jin's, finishing up, well, he's in post-production of his new film, Hope, that potentially could be there next year. Park Chung could well be in Venice. So it might that's partly to do with it, but it's also down to the fact that we have fewer films now. It is a bit worrying all the same, though, because, there have been times when there's been, 5-6 films in Cannes, and this year we have literally 0, not even short films, which is the first time for a long while.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, there are rumors that a couple shorts might be added in the coming days.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But yeah, the point about features is taken. And, I have felt for a number of years that, Korean cinema used to be kind of trendy on the festival circuit. And you'd talk to film programmers and they'd be really interested to know what was coming out from Korea, both in terms of the big commercial films and then also the auteurs and everything else. But that energy has faded. I think that other parts of the world are trendy now.
Southeast Asia, Indonesia.
Yeah, and so in particular, like if you don't have a big established reputation already, I think it's harder for younger directors to break through. And then the situation in Korea, it's harder to make films that are really original and unique these days in the film industry, unless you're working on a super low budget.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a catch-22 situation for a lot of the next generation of directors who we would normally expect to come and kind of follow up on Park Chan-wook and Bong Joon-ho, their success.
So, yeah.
Okay, we're out of time, so we're going to have to leave it there. Jason, Darcy, as ever, thank you for your reviews, and we'll catch you guys next time. Take care.
Yeah,
Okay.
bye-bye.
Bye-bye.